This man has a hot girlfriend, but he's not satisfied yet. Spying on his neighbor's life every day. He even has some fantasies about his neighbor. What's ridiculous is that he peeps through the cracks in the floor. This man Matt, he is a college student. He had just left for school when he saw a young couple moving in. Matt couldn't help but look at them. Then he was late for school. As soon as Matt sat down, his classmate Maddie handed him a poster for a music festival. It turned out that the four of them were in the same band. Matt looked at the back of the goddess and hallucinated. He saw Maddie posing in front of him. Matt's eyes were glowing. He only came to his senses after being attacked by the teacher's blackboard eraser. At night, the four of them went to a bar to relax. A friend introduced Matt to Helen, a pretty girl. Helen took an instant liking to this handsome young man. But Matt's mind was on Maddie. He went over there to try to cultivate a relationship. And then Maddie's boyfriend showed up. They shook hands awkwardly. When he got home, Matt was wandering the hallways. He suddenly saw the new couple downstairs talking about something. This woman is Pinay, also saw Matt. Pinay smiled sweetly at Matt. The next day, Pinay's charger broke. So she asked her neighbor where she could find a charger. Matt immediately said he had a spare charger. After giving the charger to Pinay, the two began to introduce themselves to each other. As they left, Pinay smiled back. Matt was excited and nervous at the same time. After school in the evening, Matt stopped by his neighbor's house. He looked inside with curiosity. Pinay was wearing a wig. Matt wondered what she was up to. So he sneaked into the unoccupied room. Matt watched Pinay's every move through a crack in the floor. Pinay was wearing strange makeup and a mysterious mask. Watching Pinay leave, Matt couldn't wait to get into another room. He could see everything Pinay was doing. She's a cam girl and it's the same kind of pornography. Matt was watching with rapt attention. How could this happen to him? It must be God's favor. When Pinay left again. So Matt moved on to another room. This room was above the bedroom in Pin's house. Why are there cracks in every room? Matt had been watching with great interest. Suddenly the lights went out and Matt came to his senses. But then Pinay's husband came back. Matt continued to observe the man's movements. But Matt didn't realize that he was watching the couple's moment of love. Matt was thrilled to see this. He was shivering all the time. Pinay didn't enjoy it at all afterward. She's just a total slouch. But Matt was hooked. Even in the middle of the day, he was watching his neighbors eat. It was crazy. At the end of the meal, Pinay suddenly raised her head to the ceiling. And she did it in a provocative way. The next moment, Pinay overturned the table. She climbed up the ladder. She slowly slipped her fingers into the crack. Matt was so excited to see what this lollipop tasted like. Suddenly, a yelp startled Matt. And when he came back to his senses, Pin was sitting right where she was. So it was all Matt's fantasy. Have you ever had such a youthful fantasy? At night, of course, it was Pinay's live show. Matt watched it with a burning desire. It's the same story, but this time Pinay really found out that someone was spying on her upstairs. Seeing someone peeping at her, Pinay acted like a new person and performed very hard. But Matt upstairs suffered a lot. After a hand exercise, Matt was so sweaty and weak. He was completely obsessed with Pinay. He even swiped through all the photos of Pinay on his ins. But Helen was not happy. Don't I smell good enough? Helen kissed Matt, although it was just a dare. But it was clear that Helen liked Matt. After leaving his drink and heading home, Matt was caught in a downpour. He stood in front of Pinay's house to escape the rain. The door was unlocked. Matt's mind was racing with evil thoughts. He went inside and mimicked his host's every move. Throughout the past few days, Matt knew Pinay's husband's behavior by heart. Seeing that there was no movement in the house, Matt went in and got carried away. He pulled down his pants in front of the sleeping Pinay. And then the unspeakable act of impulsiveness, you can imagine for yourself. The whole time, Pinay's eyes were closed. But Matt has to be careful even when he breathes. Just as he was about to sneak away, Pinay sat up. You're trying to run when the fire's already lit. Matt was scared out of his wits. Pinay asked him to stay with her. But Matt couldn't sit still. If Pinay's husband comes home suddenly, his life would be in danger. Matt could only talk to Pin absent-mindedly. But then the unexpected happened. Pinay's husband came home. Soon after, Matt had no choice but to hide under the bed. At that moment, her husband was in bed doing something unspeakable. Matt hid under the bed and shivered. It was finally over. Matt felt like he was becoming a secret agent. Look at that prostrate position. Matt may have a talent for being a soldier, and he's out the door running faster than Bolt. The days went by. One day Matt came home to find a figure waiting for him. Helen showed up unannounced. This body is much better than Pinay's. Matt couldn't resist the temptation and fell right into it. Matt had grown up a lot that night. The next day, when the neighbors found out about Matt's growth, they came to congratulate him. Even Pinay knew. Matt hurriedly explained that this was just his normal friend. Are you kidding? She spent the night and she's still a friend. Back upstairs, Matt got a call from Pinay. Pinay wanted to do something exciting with Matt. She put the stool on the bed and put her head up to the ceiling. And the next thing you know, Matt's in the zone. And then Pinay's husband came back. Pinay fell to the floor in shock. Pinay's husband rushed over to check on her. And she kept talking about BJ. The man went crazy when he heard that. He ran out and screamed, "Who the hell called BJ and attacked my wife? I'll kill you." The neighbors were horrified. They said there was no one here by that name. Pinay came to her senses and rushed out to explain to her husband. She was confused and said the wrong thing. Pinay lied that she was fixing light bulbs while listening to the DJ. So that's how it is then. It's fine. Pinay was still a little embarrassed. But after that day, Pinay's husband was targeted by gangsters. He was attacked in his car and was left for dead. Pinay woke up from her sleep. She realized that the food on the table hadn't been touched. Her husband was lying on the ground covered in wounds. Looks like the gangsters are ruthless and Pinay is being stalked by Matt. Seeing no one around, Matt kissed Pinay despite her objections. The fight was imminent. His girlfriend, Helen, arrived at Matt's house. She didn't know that her boyfriend was having sex with someone else. Helen searched the house, but while she was drinking water, a noise caught her attention. The battle downstairs was so intense that the sound carried upstairs. Helen followed the crack to check it out. What she saw in front of her made her completely devastated. Matt was so scared, he put his pants back on. Helen rushed over to Matt and beat him up. And then she ran out of the house. The irony is that the wife is cheating on her husband while the husband is being tortured. He was dying, and with his willpower, he put up a last stand. After successfully killing the enemy, he fled in a hail of bullets. The wounded husband was able to fight his way through the enemy. He drove home with the last of his strength and Matt, undeterred, ran to Pinay's house again. Pinay was in no mood to play with him. But at Matt's insistence, Pinay gave up the fight. The tragic husband didn't know that his wife was cuckolding him. At home, the husband stumbled through the door and crawled with difficulty toward his home. He managed to get to his feet and headed for the bedroom. He didn't expect to see anything more brutal than torture. The husband fired several shots in anger. The bullets only hit the wall. The man's heart was bleeding. He couldn't understand why Pinay, whom he loved so much, would do this to him. In the end, the man let Matt go. Matt, the wimp, ran down the street without his clothes on. The husband was so angry that he screamed at the top of his lungs. Pinay could do nothing else but apologize and cry. As the two of them crying movie comes to the end.